Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast. My name is Ezra, and I'm joined by Ahmad and Sawyer. Still got the order down.
Still got it.
So it's the last podcast of the semester for the three of us. We're going to probably take next week off because we're all just sort of settling into our respective areas and new schedules and things like that. So we're going to do that, and then the following week we'll probably change our episode recording days, so then the podcast will go up on a different day of the week, but then we'll get back to regularly scheduled Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast. So with that, Sawyer, can you bring us your first news topic?
So the first news topic, now this is more of a rumor in the news than it is confirmed news, but that's kind of most of what we talk about here for the news.
Yeah.
Was that Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy is reportedly been canceled.
Which is really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, is it surprising though?
The news has come after Disney put out sort of their slate for the next couple of years, and they only have 3 Star Wars movies, meaning one trilogy, which is rumored to have been the David Benioff and D.B. Weiss,
Otherwise known as Game of Thrones.
the Game of Thrones creators trilogy, and is mostly been swamped in their release schedule by Avatar sequels. So, unless this other trilogy miraculously comes to Disney Plus and not theaters, it means we're either not getting a Rian Johnson trilogy, or it's not starting until at least 2028.
Or they're just
Oh my
not
God.
telling us something, and they're still doing the alternating thing that I think that they're.
They could be, but they'd have to put it out in May because they're not going to cannibalize their Avatar sales.
Well, what I think they would be doing is they would release, they would release the Game of Thrones writers movie 2022, is that?
Yeah.
And then the next year's Avatar 3, and then the following year is Rian Johnson's first Star Wars movie, and then the next Star Wars movie we get is a continuation of Game of Thrones writers trilogy, and they just alternate them.
They could do that.
Rather
It's going to be a
and-
while till we get conclusion, though.
I don't care.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
I've been waiting 5 years at this point to conclude the sequel trilogy.
Yeah,
So
that's true. Well, it could be good. I don't know. What do you guys think about Rian Johnson reportedly, though, not getting a trilogy?
I think-
Because right
I mean,
now we don't even know if it's what the plan is, but if his trilogy is canceled, what are your thoughts?
yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead, Mark.
I'm not really surprised because of how The Last Jedi did with audience, with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sort of
The
like
audience
audience reaction,
reception.
and reception.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
If
but-
it's canceled, I think Disney is just not going to report it. They're just going to quietly stop talking about it. I don't think they're going to come out right and say Rian Johnson's trilogy is canceled, because that's going to create more internet,
Drama.
yeah, and they don't want that.
Yeah.
I think they'll just continuously not talk about it and then just quietly shelve it at Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I think there's a shot that it's been canceled because it was announced.
Before it
Already-
even came out. Yeah.
Well, there was that, and it was announced sort of in a backdoor kind of way.
Yeah.
Like, I was never really sure that it was actually happening.
That's it. Yeah.
So there's that. I also still. I think that, so much of The Last Jedi was just, It was definitely Rian Johnson sort of saying screw you to existing canon and just doing whatever he wanted to do.
Mhm.
So I kind of, given how well received it was by the critics and how much money The Last Jedi made,
Mhm.
I'd be interested about what the executive meetings are at Lucasfilm, and them just sort of I wonder what the thought process is behind whether or not they keep him on board for a new trilogy, because if he made his own thing,
Mhm.
it could be really great. I love The Last Jedi, and
I mean, like, yeah, that's true. It was critically well received and stuff. So I don't know. I think that, it would give him a chance to redeem
Yeah.
himself, possibly with the audience.
With the general public.
With the general public, even though like there are like a lot of people who are warming up to The Last Jedi and also just like not,
Yeah.
it's like in the grand scheme of things, I guess, it's not the worst possible film that could come
like
out.
it could have been worse.
Yeah.
I think it's the trilogy being canceled wouldn't necessarily surprise me because Disney would they want to start avoiding controversy with Star Wars because for a good few months there, nothing that came out about Star Wars was good.
Yeah.
You didn't hear anything good.
Nobody likes Star
Yeah.
Wars. For a
Yeah,
good
Star Wars was
month.
it was all controversy, so I think Disney's trying to just, after the push with Celebration and then this Goodwill stuff with the Clone Wars coming back
Right.
and
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker.
They don't want to mess it up.
So I think this trilogy, while they may not hate Rian Johnson, I think they're just going to stop talking about it because regardless of what you think about The Last Jedi, having a trilogy with his name attached is going to create discourse online and controversy that they don't want.
What if they did a trilogy with him, but it was under a pseudonym?
They could.
So at the end of the trilogy, it turns out that it was Rian Johnson all along.
Oh.
I think
That'd
that
be
would
really
be
funny.
interesting. I think
Yeah.
it's. I would not.
That's a stupid theory.
It could be that they really just don't want to. Like, I don't know. The trilogy, if it comes out, could be good. I just don't think they want to risk.
It is a risk.
It's a risk, but I don't think Disney needs a risk right now, and I think they're also spooked from the Solo box office numbers, which makes them not want to do the every year Star Wars movie
Yeah.
thing anymore.
Yeah.
I agree.
And if we do get any more Solo films, they're going to be straight to Disney Plus. They're not going theatrically.
Yeah.
Solo films, huh?
Yeah.
Solo. Yeah. So is that everything you wanted to talk about with that?
Pretty much covers it. Just I wanted to mention that Star Wars is finally on the up again after just more
Still
than
a little
a
bit of a
year.
blip.
More than a year of just constant bad stream of Star Wars news. So, regardless
Yeah.
of whether or not you think about The Last Jedi,
Episode 9 looks great.
Episode 9 looks great. The game looks like it could be not as bad as Battlefront 2. Or at least Battlefront 2's launch.
It's a Jedi game with conceivably good
Yeah.
movement.
Yeah.
Single player game. Clone Wars is coming back. And reportedly also, speaking of Star Wars news, allegedly J.J. Abrams went to talk to George Lucas before they started the script writing process on Rise of Skywalker.
Which, I wonder how I feel about that.
Yeah.
That's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
So, my news story is that we got, after so many years, 4 years,
Oh,
we
no.
finally got a new trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake. And it looks pretty great,
Yeah.
all things considered.
Yeah.
The game/games is still episodic.
That worries me.
What they've said though is that the game, like the quote unquote episodes, are not like a Telltale-esque episodic thing. It's more like 20 to 25 hour games that then are like they just flesh out a little bit more of each section of the game. So this section, so like what they showed in the State of Play trailer was a whole bunch of stuff from like the first 10 hours of the game. That's generous, like 6 hours of the game, I would say. And it looks like it's all stuff that's sort of leading up to when they finally leave the big city leave the big city and like actually go out to the wider world. Like it's all the stuff leading up to that.
Yeah.
So that looks really cool. And so if we get like a 20 and 25 hour experience of just that, and it's like the Final Fantasy VII Remake is actually like a 3-parter, I'd be really interested in that. And I also, given how long they've had to work on this, I also don't necessarily worry about them doing this just for monetary
Right.
reasons. Because Final Fantasy VII is a really big game.
Came out
For-
with 3 CDs back in the day.
Yeah, it's a really big game for its time, and it has a lot of just stuff in it.
Content, yeah.
And so they would want probably to be as sort of faithful to having as much stuff from the original game carry over into 7 Remake. So I think like giving them sort of 2-year intervals where they can just like it's a 3-parter and they release a total of 60 hours across 3 60-hour or $60 games, or maybe you buy like a pass and one of them is free or something like that.
Right.
I think that could be really effective because part of the thing with Final Fantasy VII is it's kind of, I've been playing it recently, it's got kind of that Metal Gear kind of thing where you can still watch it and enjoy it, but the graphic fidelity makes it so that it's hard to take it as seriously.
Yeah.
So like they want to spruce it up and make it look pretty, and they also are adding, instead of doing an RPG like a turn-based RPG style, they're doing real-time combat.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And it's the combat director is the one from Kingdom Hearts 2, so we've got basically nothing to worry about there.
The combat at first kind of surprised me, but then I thought about it, and a lot of these remakes of old PS1 games are updating their mechanics because they don't work as well nowadays.
Yeah.
Like Resident Evil 2, the remake for that ditched the fixed camera angles and went for more of an over-the-shoulder approach. Makes sense with this that they would go from the old turn-based and go straight to active combat.
Real-time action. Yeah. The one thing is that I just finished the first like 6 hours of the game yesterday, and I don't know, unless you pad it out a lot, which you could do. Like there's enough there to pad it out and really make a long game out of this. I wonder about how you make that into its own game, like justifying it as its own game.
Yeah.
I heard it sort of described as like a Fellowship of the Ring kind of thing, where like
Makes sense.
the ending is just the ending from the first from the first Lord of the Rings movie. So that could be cool, but I don't know.
They need to also make sure that the price. Now, if it's a full game, they can price as such, but they need to advertise this as this is only part 1 of the story.
Yeah.
They can't advertise this as the complete Final Fantasy VII remade because it's not that yet.
So
That, and I wouldn't be surprised if, they need to. How do I word this? They need to make sure that they come across as saying, like, the price point needs to be correct. They can't just throw it out.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with that.
But it looks pretty though. So that's
It
good.
looks super pretty. Ahmad, have you seen the trailer?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, I'd give it a watch.
Okay.
Just to see how sort of far we've come from PS1 graphics. Because this game is sort of using that sort of Final Fantasy 13 art style and just sort of running with it rather than going for its own kind of thing. But it's sort of updated, and like Cloud looks more like a how do I put this? Like he looks more like what an anime boy would look like in real life.
Real life, yeah.
I was just gonna say that.
Rather than like if you look at his default Smash Bros model, he's got just like this spiked out hair and it looks super unnatural.
Yeah.
He looks like his hair actually looks relatively natural now. Like obviously it's anime hair, so
Yeah.
it's totally but it's
the
not
best
like
type of hair.
it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh levels of hair quality where it's like, how do you manage to keep this like this?
A lot of gel, dude. I wish that was real life.
Let's just hope part 2 and then however many parts are after it don't take another 4 years to come out.
Yeah, I mean, Nomura has said that they've just been sort of like his time had been devoted to getting Kingdom Hearts 3 out the door.
Mhm.
Now that Kingdom Hearts 3 is at the door, he can really pay attention to Final Fantasy 7. But he did say that, like, I never said that we stopped production.
Mhm.
I've just been focusing more on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
So that tells me that they've probably got a lot of like the assets down, because they've already got like tons of art direction from the first game or from the original.
Said there's more info coming in June. So
Yep,
looks
probably
like it's gonna be
E3
great.
times. Maybe a playable demo. That would be cool.
Maybe.
They don't release playable demos for a lot of stuff anymore though, so.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's not another Half-Life 3 kind of situation where we get the first 2 episodes but then never get episode 3.
Oh no.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so Ahmad, what is your news story?
I'm going to talk about 2 things. The first one being the It Chapter 2 trailer came out, I think, over the weekend.
Yeah.
And it looks pretty good. I mean, there were some there were some scary parts. It wasn't terrifying, but there were some scary parts in the trailer. Creepy old lady vibes, like like usual.
Yep.
I don't know. Have you seen this trailer?
Yeah, I saw it.
You haven't, right?
I watched it.
Oh.
Maybe we watched it in the lab.
Yeah, we watched it
Okay.
together.
Okay. So, I mean, so you have Jessica Chastain in it and everything, and then
James McAvoy.
yeah, James McAvoy, and then you have like the kids from the first film. But yeah, I don't know. It looks good. It looks like
He does sound like Winnie the Pooh.
yeah.
Yeah. It surprised me that they focused a lot more on imagery than just. Now, I mean, the first one had jump scares.
Yeah.
But what I enjoyed about the first one is it created an atmosphere.
Yeah.
It wasn't just jump scare, jump scare, jump scare.
Yeah.
Which this trailer, at least for the most part, wasn't really jump scares. They didn't
Yeah.
have that like
Yeah.
jump noise they put in
Right.
every horror film.
Right. Yeah.
I think it made it creepier for that because you're like something's gonna happen, but it's mostly just it's
It's
fake.
lingering,
It's just
it's lingering,
it's a
yeah.
creepy atmosphere,
Right.
not so much as just there's something in the corner.
Yeah.
Bam. kinda,
Bam. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, what I appreciated more about the film. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna go see it. Like, there's. I think
Yeah.
it comes out during. Does it come out in
I think
October?
it's September.
Okay. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of films that are coming out then,
Yeah.
around then. But yeah, that's it. Chapter 2 is coming out in September, and then the other topic I wanted to talk about too. I want to follow up on our Sonic discussion from last
Oh
week.
no.
And
Oh no.
so they're changing. So they've.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
so. They've heard the voices.
They've heard the voice of the internet.
The internet has once again shifted.
The collective internet has spoken.
Has changed, yeah. Has changed. Has changed some like the creators' minds and stuff about
Yeah.
the look of Sonic, and they're gonna change his design, his character design, and they're gonna make it look not as creepy.
Just make him. This is my problem with the CG. Is just make him look like, give him the same proportions that he has in the games, and he looks fine.
Yeah.
I'm
Like he in Sonic 06, he looked like in some of the CG cutscenes when he's sort of standing next to proportioned human characters, he looks fine.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he's out of place.
Right.
So like
And I don't know.
Yeah.
It kind of surprised me that this is obviously something that's a good thing, but it's kind of surprised me that they listened or like they did
Yeah.
change it, because usually that they don't bend to
They
like
don't bend to
people's wills and
audiences.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I mean,
that-
it's a
that
good
goes-
thing though.
That
It's a
goes
good
to tell me that this movie is just a corporate product.
Yes.
Like it's literally nobody actually cares about.
Yeah, that's
this
like
movie.
if this was a movie that had a direct vision, they weren't going to change it. Like for example, I guess this is kind of a weird example, but Joker, the Joker movie.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh, Joker's makeup looks a little weird," but there's people behind the movie that actually care, so they're not going to say, "No, we're going to go back and reshoot it and change it."
Yeah.
They're sticking to it. Clearly, with this movie, at least from what I can tell, nobody seems to genuinely care about the Sonic franchise. They're like, yeah, people don't like it. We want people to buy tickets, so let's go back in, pay some animators, and
Yeah.
fix the look.
Which is a real shame, because there are talented writers who are currently working in the Sonic sphere, mostly on the comics. But if they did some of the Sonic, like if they just got some of those writers, they could tell an interesting story,
Yeah.
and then they could also get a director who could serve the project well, and then maybe the art direction would be.
I would have liked to
Horrible.
have seen a Phil Lord and Chris Miller Sonic movie.
That would have been great. Yeah.
I don't know, but it just goes to show. I think I was talking to Ezra and Caleb about this. Shout out to Caleb if he's
Shout
listening. But I think this is Ezra's topic of the day. But Detective Pikachu. I'm not going to spoil
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
I'm not going to talk about it. But it just like it kind of pertains to like the Sonic thing. And there's just like this. Obviously, there's this slew of remakes and sequels coming
Yeah.
out, and there's also this like interesting like wave of films that are just like pre-existing characters who we know who are getting revisited, kind of like
Yeah.
you have Detective Pikachu, you have Dora, you have Sonic, you have I have Aladdin too, but that's more of a I guess.
Aladdin is a classic. It's
classic.
sort of like a Disney classic remake. It's not really.
But you have these characters
not part
who
of that movement.
the audience are familiar with, and they're going to see these
Yeah.
films because of that. I mean, and I think that's like something to note moving forward, with, like just the entertainment industry in general.
Now, clearly I'm not the audience for it anymore, but there's a lot of bad kids movies coming out this
Yeah.
year when I looked at the slate. Like there's a
Toy Story
lot.
4. I mean, that's not. That's not.
Well,
That's not
Toy
gonna
Story
be,
4 is the exception.
It's not
the
going to be a
rule.
bad. Yeah, but I
like,
just remembered
Yeah.
that. That's also another kids movie that's
Yeah.
coming out. But there's like a lot of things that's attached to Disney almost.
Yeah, well, Disney, I mean, and if you look at it, Disney always used to pioneer. Almost every single thing on their slate is a live-action remake of something they already did.
That's really sad. You know,
Yeah, which
like,
is a shame.
and like I'm going to go back to Tron Legacy. Like
Yeah.
that's an example of a film where like Disney was trying something new,
Yeah.
and
It was still, granted, it was a sequel, but they pushed forward. It
Yeah.
wasn't just let's do the first movie again.
yeah,
They
and like they
moved
tried
Yeah.
to visually create something different but also interesting, and like it blew my mind as a kid. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like I'm sure you guys agree too, but it's just like with what's coming out right now, it doesn't seem like they're trying to push the medium at all, or push the like just their films, or trying to create something different. They're just rehashing the same stuff and same stories and just making
Like,
it.
I don't
And sorry, I was.
Yeah, you're good.
But like, it's kind of failing. You have the Dumbo that didn't do good, like at all. Like it was.
I forgot that it came
Yeah,
out.
that it came out and it's gone and nobody really cares about it. And
The only one that
wasn't
really did great was Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's because they had some like really stellar art
Yeah.
direction behind that movie.
Like, I mean, I have no problem with film using nostalgia. I think it can be a powerful force and make a movie even better. Like Force Awakens.
I was gonna say
A lot of that movie is nostalgia, but it's not bad. It's still got some good art design behind it,
Yeah.
well acted
Yeah.
sequences, and it looks great.
nostalgia doesn't make a movie. It's sort of
Right,
It,
right.
it can
Like-
enhance it, but it doesn't make it.
It
Yeah.
doesn't make it like if you
Whereas-
have a film just solely just
Yeah.
based on just this like idea of nostalgia, it's not going to do good at all.
Whereas my problem with a lot of these Disney movies and everything that Disney's doing now is it's almost entirely based on, hey, this is a property people like, let's bring it back out because it'll make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, now, they're doing some new things I can at least see, but they're banking on nostalgia, and I think they're also doing what I call the Black Panther market,
Oh yeah.
where they're like, this culturally is significant, and we know it'll make a lot of money because people are sort of attached to it, which is what they're going to do with Mulan. That's why they're making Shang-Chi for Marvel.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Oh no.
Yeah, I think, and Aladdin, it can
Yeah,
be
Aladdin,
part of that
true.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, now granted, I'm not saying the entire reason Disney's making these movies is because they can get Black Panther success in terms of the market of people wanting to get diverse films. But
Yeah.
when you look at their slate, it's like, well, we have this property that we know is established and makes money, and we already know Black Panther makes money and the diversity sells.
Yeah.
So let's just we allowed Aladdin again because we know it's a popular product.
No, I think that Disney should be really careful here because
Yeah.
with Aladdin and Pocahontas and Mulan, there were a lot of like racially charged just like concerns
Yeah.
with like them misrepresenting the cultures. So I think like, and on one hand, it could be like a Black Panther situation where it does create this like really just
Yeah.
great film.
Although Black Panther has its own problems.
True, but it does.
Let's be fair about
But
that.
Yeah.
what Disney wasn't looking at was it was looking at the numbers. It wasn't
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah.
the problems.
Problems. So that's what I'm trying to like. I'm just trying to say like, I hope Disney takes that into consideration because
Yeah.
that could be an issue. Because like, those films, did come out in a different time, in a different time where stuff was okay to do, and
Yeah.
whereas now people are more hyper aware.
Yeah.
And I mean, you saw the study premiere is an
Yeah.
example of that. But like people
It's
are
like that would have like there was some like in a sort of class project, like a big class project for the entire BGSU film department. I won't go into specifics because it'll go basically over everybody's head.
Yeah.
There was like
a dispute almost.
one shot, I would say,
Yeah.
one shot really, where like one of the actors who's an African American woman, and the other actor was a white guy, and the black woman was sort of, she was
Not as well lit.
she was very clearly sort of obstructed by the lack of light more than the white actor's face was.
Yeah.
And like 2 years ago, that would have happened and nobody would have noticed it. But during the Q&A session, somebody raised their hand and asked, like, was that a conscious decision you made, or did you guys have a conversation about this and that? And
so
that's just like one example of a really, in the grand scheme of things, it's really minor.
Yeah.
It is minor, but it's subtle.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say is like people are aware of that now, and they're thinking about that like that. So, moving forward, I think when they start making these films and they want to try to be more inclusive, respective and inclusive with their films, I think that they should keep that in mind, because questions like that are good to have. But
and
yeah,
at least with Aladdin, I think they can avoid some of it because it's not based on anything real.
Yeah.
They got to be real careful with the Mulan, and especially if they remake Pocahontas.
I don't know if they're willing to touch
I think Pocahontas was pretty.
Yeah.
Pocahontas, like right now, that character is culturally charged, and it's not even Disney's fault.
Yeah.
So like, I think that
But it definitely had its problems too, especially in
Yeah.
the second Pocahontas. But like obviously,
I didn't remember there was a second one.
the second one was apparently her becoming just like
Is that where she goes to? Well, that's right. She goes to England. in
back
that
to
one.
England, yeah, and like it was very controversial. Even the first one was, but I mean,
Yeah.
they're classics though. So like, I'm not saying that those are bad films necessarily. I'm just saying like in hindsight, like if they're gonna go back and remake those films, there's gonna be problems.
they have to be careful.
Yeah, they're remaking The Lion King. I forgot about that.
At least it's all animals in the Lion
Yeah.
King.
Oh, yeah.
so-
Well, the Lion King is weird because it's a lot of animals.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of like
And that works well because you have like the Jungle Book and you have Dumbo.
Yeah.
But like stories like that there's not that problem really there.
There's not like a cultural aspect.
Right, but
Whereas in like Lion King has sort of like tones of sort of a more like African
Well, because it takes place in Africa.
thing, but it's not like the culture is specifically based on this like one African tribe or something. It's
Yeah.
like it's based on whatever Disney just sort of came up with at the time.
Yeah.
It all depends on
So-
who they put on the creative team.
Yep.
That's what's going to matter. Which I haven't looked deeply into who's on these teams. I only know about who the Black Panther team was.
And like obviously
Like-
that had a big deal. I mean
Yeah.
that had a big thing with it because like it wasn't as obviously if like there was like a white director and like the
Yeah.
people behind it were more white, there would be a problem.
Really, it was only, I think, in terms of cast, it was really just Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
And in terms of producers, I mean, really, it was just the producers because Kevin Feige.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
right,
that,
right.
so.
But like that's what I'm trying to say because like if the people behind it are people who aren't like from that culture possibly,
Yeah.
but like at least I mean they could be, but like at least being aware of those issues.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they got like Ryan Coogler and Ryan Coogler just like brought a lot of his people on board for
Right.
Black Panther,
Right.
and so like
And that
was
worked out
the-
well for him. I mean,
yeah,
for the most
and
part.
it was the right choice. So like,
I mean, and like I mean, I'm confident in Disney. I'm just saying, like that would be, just imagine something like that, just like attached to the Disney name. That would be horrible. But I'm
Yeah.
sure they have the right people behind it, and they're taking it all into consideration. So-
Disney, like what I could say about Disney is that like going back to the Sonic movie, I don't trust Paramount to actually try to make a good product out of the Sonic movie. I would trust Disney with it. And I would trust Disney with a lot of other
Well, that's because Disney
things.
typically seems to be pretty good when it comes to quality control.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had some duds here and there, but overall, they at least at least from the last couple of years, they haven't really had a completely terrible film that I can remember.
Yeah.
If there was, it's pretty forgettable.
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
guess maybe Planes, but that was really it.
I didn't mind
the
Planes.
first Planes movie is just
Wait,
cars.
there's 2 planes?
Yeah,
there are 2.
There's some like firefighter planes.
Oh, I
Fire
think I saw
and
the second one.
Rescue.
Oh, I saw the second one. Yeah, I know.
The
I
second
remember.
one's whatever.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
first one is just cars again though.
Yeah, but I mean, I enjoyed them.
My
They're
problem
bad.
my problem with the first Planes movie is that Lightning McQueen was not in that movie for one frame, and he should have been.
Yeah.
If he was in that movie, it would have made the movie 10 times better.
Do we think? I guess this is slightly off topic, but slightly related to the other things. When Disney Plus launches,
Yeah.
they've said it's going to have the entire Disney film back catalog. If that includes everything, that also includes some films that.
Song of the South.
Does Song of the South count as part of that?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there are probably going to be a lot of things that they just omit.
Well,
I don't know.
Bob
what
Iger did say the entire catalog. So
I don't know.
But
I got no information.
I definitely don't think they're gonna have Song of the South, but
if they do, there's going to be some kind of
Controversy,
thing on
yeah.
the page that clarifies like the cultural things with it. Like they're going to have to put some kind of disclaimer on it. They can't just straight up
Right,
say,
right.
"Here's the movie, watch it."
the first Snow White's obviously gonna be on there, I think,
Yeah.
and like all those classic
Yeah.
films that they came out with.
Yeah, well, they're absolutely going to put just their entire animated library.
Oh, the
on
entire
there.
animated library, including all the directed DVD sequels, are going to be
Yeah.
on there.
Man, that's a lot, and also like the live action Peter Pan films and stuff. that
And
came
they've
out.
got the Fox library now.
Yeah,
so that
that's true.
gives them all the Home Alone movies and Ice Age and
Yeah.
all
Oh
that.
my God, that's true.
Disney Plus is going to be like if they don't overprice it, it's going to be a really good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they pull off all of the content that is Fox and Disney off of other services, I guess they wouldn't on Hulu because that's Disney. But if they pull it all up with all of Prime and Netflix, that's gonna significantly hurt those services and really add to Disney Plus's library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that'll mean Fox loses a ton of content.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Netflix loses a ton of content.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Which, why not? You canceled Daredevil and Luke Cage
Ooh.
and Iron Fist.
I'm interested to know if those Netflix Marvel properties belong to Disney or if they belong to Netflix.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. So I shall. Let's take it back to live action kids movies.
Yeah.
And so my topic this week, Ahmad and I saw Detective Pikachu. Blanket spoiler warning.
Sawyer
for,
does not care.
No, I'm fine. I
Sawyer,
don't
Sawyer
care.
doesn't care,
Yeah.
but maybe the audience does. So,
Spoiler warning.
spoiler warning. I liked it. I loved it. It was great.
Wait, before we do any spoilers, can I guess what happens in the movie?
Okay.
Go-
All right,
go ahead,
Yeah,
go
okay,
ahead.
Let's see.
Okay, so this is me having seen only the trailer.
This is gonna be an interesting experience right now.
There is a big scene. There's a post-credit scene that sets up some greater Pokemon.
There's
thing.
no post-credit scene.
Really? Okay, so I'm just gonna Mewtwo is integral to the ending of the plot.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
Um,
that's true.
That there's a
He's
big
not guessing any specifics.
there's a big twist with the father of the main character.
Oh.
Okay, you're going somewhere with this.
And now I only saw headlines. I don't know what it is, but there's some kind of connection between Mewtwo and some other. Is it? What's the name? I can't remember the word. Starts with a K, I think.
What?
Never mind. I saw there was some kind of IGN thing that popped in my feed. It says like Mewtwo something connection. I was like, okay, but
I got
yeah.
nothing for
Yeah,
you.
I don't think.
yeah, but yeah, that was my. And then there was one other prediction I had. Plot wise, it's gonna end up being that main character's dad is evil.
All right.
Wait,
you
wait,
wanna,
wait.
You wanna,
Wait,
so,
hold on.
So you're guessing the main character's dad is evil?
I'm guessing that he's actually bad, and that there's a really cool shot at the end with Mewtwo fighting Pikachu.
Here, should I say it?
I'll just confirm one thing for you. There are some really cool shots of Mewtwo fighting Pikachu.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
That's true. And you're right about the twist, but
Not about the actual thing that happens.
yeah.
So there is a twist, but just I didn't get it right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Yeah, there's a twist with the father and the son.
So the ending of the movie, the final climax of the movie is that the bad guy who's this like big sort of corporate leader guy, because Pokemon.
Who created this city that they're in?
Yeah, and he's sort of like the founder of Rhyme City, and like he's sort of, his whole thing is that like evolution of the human race is integral.
With the Pokemon.
Yeah, and so his idea was, because Mewtwo has the power to sort of like detach mind from body and sort of stick it at other places. So he uses a neural interface to sort of plug his mind onto Mewtwo's body. And so he uses Mewtwo to merge all of the people in Rhyme City with their Pokemon partners. And so the final battle sort of revolves around how you solve this, and then they fix it, everything's okay, and then Pikachu and Tim Goodman is the main character's name. I guess, is the main character Pikachu, or is it Tim Goodman?
Tim Goodman.
Yeah, okay. So like the main character and Pikachu are sort of hanging out at the end, and it's revealed that
Ryan Reynolds.
that Ryan Reynolds is the kid's father.
The actor Ryan Reynolds.
The actor Ryan
So
Reynolds.
Mewtwo had combined both Pikachu and the Ryan Reynolds, and this accident occurs, and in order for, I think, is it Mewtwo to save the father or something, or
Wait. So Mewtwo merged Tim's father's consciousness with a Pikachu.
yeah,
with his
Pikachu.
Pikachu.
With the father's Pikachu.
Yes.
And that Pikachu doesn't remember that
No.
he's
Yeah, and so like for some reason, I think it's that like he got amnesia from the accident and not from the actual
okay.
not from the actual act of having his mind implanted onto a Pikachu's.
Yeah,
That's a twist.
it's a twisty
Yeah.
twist.
Very twisty.
Very twisty sweet. But yeah, I literally had not thought about the film up until like you asked me like, hey, you want to go see this film? I hadn't given it any thought at all. Like,
Yeah.
And I think that made the film better for me, because I wasn't expecting it like this great. You know,
Yeah.
I wasn't hyping it up. I wasn't expecting this, great film. But watching the film, I found it really adorable. It was also entertaining. I also, obviously I had Pokemon cards as a kid, and I watched the show and I loved the show. But like watching the film, obviously, kind of, we were talking about nostalgia. It was almost nostalgic, but not really built upon that, solely. But it was. I think it was really entertaining to watch. I thought that Justice, I forget his
Justice
Smith.
He did a good job.
People found him annoying in the Jurassic World film.
Yeah.
I think, but I think he's a really good actor.
I thought he did a really good
Well,
job.
Yeah.
the problem I had with him in Jurassic World was the script.
Oh yeah, not him. So it wasn't necessarily his fault, but that was a thing, like, I guess. But even me, honestly, but I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah.
The entire cast did a really good job, and I don't know.
Yeah, really.
It's one of those things where I was just like, wow, Detective Pikachu. I'm not gonna go see that, and I have no interest in seeing it. But and like the fact that they had, I think we talked about this on the way back from the theater. The fact that they had Ryan Reynolds as played like the voice of the Pikachu, I thought
What
was
a
more
good
of a
casting.
I thought it was more of a marketing scheme. Just like, hey, we have Ryan Reynolds voicing this character in this film. Come see it.
Yeah.
But the twist at the end made it better, because it's not like they were relying on that to be like a kind of this like thing that'll bring people in to see the film.
Well, there was that, and I also thought that like he talks about how like for a test, the guys at like the guys who were making the movie made like a 3D model and put some Deadpool voice over Pikachu talking, and he was like, yeah, this actually works. And then he realized that like this would be the only project that his kids would like, so he he went ahead and did it, and
That's cool.
it's actually like if you know sort of I haven't played the game, but if you know sort of the background behind Detective Pikachu and how that story came along in the game, it's actually, I don't know if the plot is the same, but the character of Detective Pikachu is very similar.
Did they port the Detective Pikachu game to Switch, just like a tie-in?
No, I think it's still a 3DS exclusive.
That's kind of strange.
When did Detective Pikachu come out?
It's like 2013.
I'm gonna say 15. I think it was 2015.
But yeah, I mean, on the way inside the theaters, they gave us like a Pokemon
Yeah,
card pack.
if you buy a ticket, you get a Pokemon card. Like
A card or a pack?
You literally get 2 cards.
Yeah,
in a
it's and like they're based from like characters from the movie.
Oh, so they're not like
No,
I get an ultra rare.
Yeah.
card.
Well, there are some like
2016.
it was 2016.
You were
February
close.
3rd, 2016. Yeah.
What a year. So yeah, I think like my big distinction with this movie versus the Sonic movie is that Pikachu actually looks like Pikachu.
Yeah.
Sonic looks nothing like Sonic in the Sonic movie.
Yeah,
and
that's what I was gonna get at. You
Yeah.
you make your characters look like the characters in this film. Like not even Pikachu specifically, but all the other Pokemon, they were pretty
Literally
much
all of them.
they were pretty much what you would imagine them being in real life. And like and they didn't look weird or creepy or it didn't have these like freakish, like they didn't have human teeth. They didn't give Pikachu human teeth, which I was really happy about. But,
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I took some getting used to it first when I first saw the trailer because I never, when I was watching the show, based on the art style, never assumed that Pikachu would be furry.
Yeah.
I just never really guessed that. I didn't think it'd be scaly.
It took me a second too, but once I got over it, it's like
it made sense.
Really
Yeah,
works.
yeah, it worked.
When they first announced this, I was assuming it's sort of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit kind of thing, where it's just the actual animated models in the real
Oh
world.
yeah. I wouldn't have liked that.
Yeah. I guess this works
Not in this movie.
better now that I've seen the trailers
Yeah.
a couple times.
Now-
It makes them look sort of infused into
Now,
the real
I
world.
mean, I want to talk about when we I keep referring to our conversation we had on the way
Yeah.
back, but that was a good conversation. I want to talk about how this film places how it's placed in like the game / anime live action film world, and
Oh, yeah,
how
yeah.
it's probably one of the best ones as of right
Yeah.
now to be based off a
Which-
game / like
the bar's low.
Right, the bar's
But
very low.
I liked it. I liked it as much as I liked. I'm trying to think of a movie.
Avatar:
that I
The
was-
Last Airbender.
Oh, that movie is.
No.
Do we count this as an anime movie or a video game movie?
It's a video game.
Video game movie more so.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is.
Pokemon
yeah.
Pokemon is way more a video game franchise than it is a
Yeah.
like anime,
franchise.
and also like even the anime isn't considered an anime, is it, or is it more so
well,
American?
it's on that weird sort of
Like-
group of anime where
Like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh, Bakugan, Pokemon, Beyblade, like those things were sort of like brought in to
American culture.
American culture as more of like an advertisement than an actual anime. Whereas like Dragon Ball was in America because it was Dragon Ball.
And like Avatar, The Last Airbender, was more of an Americanized like cartoon show.
It's
Well,
also
it's
an American
a-
production.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an American production.
Yeah.
It's sort of in the style of anime.
I never,
Almost.
as a kid growing up, I didn't really think about it till recently that Pokemon started as a video game franchise because I knew that Nintendo had exclusivity, but I didn't even realize that Nintendo owned the Pokemon company.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they've done a good job of at least expanding the Pokemon brand to the point where I didn't even think it was just a solely video game franchise. I
Yeah.
always assumed it was an anime thing or a trading card thing that blew
Yeah.
up and then they made
Well,
more.
and all of those things are part of the Pokemon
Yeah.
ecosystem, but the games sort of determine where everything else goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the problem, part of the problem with the Pokemon anime, to be brutally honest, is that it doesn't get to do its own thing. It's always sort of one step behind the games and trying to make something out of the game's plot, but they already have an established character and like there are a whole bunch of issues.
But as a kid, I enjoyed though. I mean, like I didn't play the games as much, but it was mostly just this TV show, and I enjoyed that.
Like
Yeah.
I had never played a Pokemon game, but I watched the show as a kid and
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
yeah. I just
Yeah.
and like the movies. I mean, like I remember my first experience watching the first movie with Mewtwo in it. That was a really good film.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
They're making a 3D animated version of that movie.
That'd be cool.
Interesting, yeah. But yeah, I
It
mean,
looks-
there's just like
Ash looks super weird.
I don't near the end, like they had like these cool like animes, like they created like these anime style for the characters and stuff. I think in the
For
end
the credits,
in the end credits. And like I was kind of made me think. Do we think that anime is gonna see more of a bigger market in the film industry? Kind of like, because I was talking to you about this. You have, every once in a while you have like, the westerns were big.
Yeah.
Back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Now the superhero genre is extremely big, and it's almost,
And what's
arguably,
the
possibly,
next thing?
yeah. What's the next thing? What's
Yeah.
what's gonna be like? Is it gonna be anime? Is it gonna be gaming? Is it gonna be like? Are we gonna see something like Love, Death, and Robots, where like game developers make narrative films?
It would be interesting to see. I think we do get a bigger growth with the way CG is becoming. I think there is something to be said that we get more CG movies and different animated styles. I don't think anime specifically is going to be the huge thing, but I think animation as a whole could be huge.
Yeah.
Because anime is still so firmly a Japanese thing.
Rooted, yeah.
For it to become kind of the next big Hollywood genre just seems a little weird. Especially when knowing how Hollywood kind of takes things and makes its own.
Keep
thing
in mind,
out of it.
that's I mean, like in a different way, on a different spin. That's what people thought about superhero films too.
Yeah, but they also had generally been American for a long time.
But like I guess
Yeah.
like comparing it to like the worldwide market, I guess not a lot of people. Well, I mean, and it did grow, I guess, but that's true.
Yeah. Well, I would just be nervous because I wouldn't want Hollywood to, because anime, like I said, has always been a Japanese thing.
Right.
And it's also part of the charm of it because it's that kind of culture.
Right.
If Hollywood just says, I'm going to do this now,
Yeah.
and just kind of Americanized it,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have the same charm.
It
Dragon Ball does.
wouldn't at all.
Which is why I would want, like, it'd be, for example, say if India in Bollywood they adopted the Western and made that their new genre.
Yeah.
It'd just be kind of weird.
Yeah, it
for
would be.
that.
But like, I guess what I'm trying to
Well,
say
but the
is
spaghetti western is a really big thing. Like, and that's a really respected style.
Yeah.
of
But
western.
sorry has like sorry just have a point. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, nobody really thought that the superhero genre would reach the height that it
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm trying to say. I guess but
Avengers was the peak, right?
Yeah. So
I would say Infinity War was the peak.
but he said like he's just
at the time though,
people thought-
Avengers we were never gonna get any better than the first Avengers
No.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at least
And then
that's
we
what I
got-
thought.
Infinity, and then we got Winter Soldier, Infinity War, and Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I guess keeping that in mind, I mean anything is possible. I mean, like it
Yeah.
just depends on how like whoever the creators are, like just whether it be Japan or like a Japanese creation or more of an American creation. How do they take that into like because I would love for like the Japanese industry to just blow up with just like creating.
From what I've seen, I think a lot of studios are now realizing if you put people in charge of a project who actually care about it, you're going to get a sustained franchise.
Yeah.
If you just, and I think they're realizing this with Sonic, if you just say, this name is popular, let's throw some people on it and make a movie, it doesn't do as well.
Yeah.
But if you do take something like Detective Pikachu, where you put people on the project who actually care, you get a well-crafted product.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't get some of the guys from Sonic team to work on the Sonic movie. Like just from an art direction standpoint, like I don't necessarily like the Sonic Boom reboot designs, but they're better than what we have now.
Yeah.
So I think it would be
And I know
I
we
think
were
it's
talking
always
about
better to
this.
have like a Phil or Chris Miller.
I know we were talking about this in the lab, but I hope that this movie does successful enough that it proves to Nintendo that they can make more movies off of their properties. Because they've been so spooked by the failure of the Mario Brothers movie back in
in
the late 80s, early 90s, that they've just not touched anything
Just
else.
haven't done it.
Like, if you make a live-action Metroid movie, it could be awesome.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like a CG animated Zelda movie could be great.
Yeah.
I really want, because Detective Pikachu made enough money to where it's basically a given that we get more Pokemon live action movies. I really want a Lucario samurai movie.
That could be cool.
That's what I really want. Just I'm thinking you guys are thinking about industry wide things, and I'm thinking about what's my next
Pokemon
Pokemon
specific,
movie.
Yeah.
And I want a Lucario action movie where he has to go fight, I don't know, some legendary or something like that. I think
Give me Aquaman, but with Greninja.
No, make Greninja like an actual ninja movie.
Okay. Yeah.
Like a martial arts, like a Japanese martial arts movie. That would be really cool.
Remake Disney's Dinosaur, but with all Pokemon. Just do it.
No.
It's prehistoric, and yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
But yeah, I think Detective Pikachu surprisingly had heart, which I wasn't expecting. I thought it was gonna be mostly just a
it
big.
had a soul,
Yeah,
which
it-
I didn't. Which is like the one worry with this movie is that it was going to feel like
Product.
a cash in.
Yeah, which was
And it
refreshing,
was.
and it was refreshing, and it also might have been the free popcorn and pizza we got.
That was
Oh,
true.
did you guys
We
go to like a premiere party?
Well,
there was
well-
a friend. There was a friend.
A friend hooked us up with some free popcorn and pizza, and that made, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna enjoy this film now.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess Detective Pikachu was surprisingly good. I enjoyed it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I loved it.
Sorry, I would
I
say check
was
it out
always-
regardless.
Yeah, I will when I get a chance.
Yeah.
I was always saying that this movie does not look as bad as everybody says it looks, and I was right.
Yeah, you're
So-
right. I was the one who was like, this looks bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
So-
I don't think we're gonna be saying the same thing once Sonic comes
Sonic
out.
comes
Oh
out.
no, yeah, I'm gonna be honest and just say it looks like trash.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and if it looks like trash to me,
Yeah.
then
I've been saying this. The Sonic movie looks like a movie that would have come out 20 years ago.
it looks like a movie that would have come out 10 years ago.
It looks like a movie that would have came out exactly
I mean,
in
like-
2010.
No, I was
Yeah.
gonna say like
Yeah,
an
it looks
early
like a
2000
2010 movie.
I was gonna say like an early 2000s. Like, hey, this is a popular property. Let's turn this into a
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, you're right. It does look like that sort
around
of
like
like
a speed racer era. Kind of
Oh yeah,
time.
like I mean,
Yeah,
I like.
like, I guess, like,
But I mean,
Yeah,
like around that. I'm not.
2004 to 2007.
Yeah,
So
like
it looks like
mid 2000s to late 2000s.
Yeah, I agree.
It looks like in that sort of like.
It also looks weirdly low budget.
Yeah, it does.
It really
It does.
does.
But speaking of 2010, Scott Pilgrim versus the World came out in 2010.
Fantastic movie.
And that's the next topic we're going to move on to because
Yes.
it's my topic. I was actually surprised when I looked up the year it came out.
Mhm.
I was actually surprised that it was 2000. I mean, I guessed it.
Mhm.
I was like, it's either 2010 or 12, and I was leaning more towards 12 because of the visual effects
Yeah.
in the film and like everything they were able to achieve. But it was 2010, and I was surprised.
This is one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. Yeah, like
I mean, like I don't know if I'd place it top 10 because we all know my top 10.
Oh, I
like
know.
but it's on a lot of people's top 10s, and for good reason. And
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite. Like it's genuinely like entertaining to watch. Yesterday I was browsing like Netflix, and I was like, what's a movie that I could put on and have fun watching that I've already seen? And I saw that, and it was just like, yep, this is a fun ride. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
I love the subtlety of the stuff in the background. Like
Very
the
subtle.
jokes are not just in your face. Like they have the. I love the one where they're painting around their apartment. And
Yeah.
It has like the little title cards pop up.
Yeah, I
It's
love
great.
that. And like
Yeah.
the editing is so well done. I mean, I don't like it's insane. Like you should watch this film just taking notes on transitions
Yeah.
and how to cut, from one
Yeah.
transition to the
It
next. one to
feels
the
like
next.
you're reading a manga
Yeah.
when you're watching this movie.
Yeah, which is like I've seen some stuff. I haven't seen the whole movie through, but I've seen some stuff from it, and it's really sort of well done VFX. Like I think it's probably the height of like diegetic VFX
Yeah.
in a film.
Yeah, definitely. I would say so. Like it's just like you see the comic, kind of like into the Spider-Verse, where you can like literally see
Yeah.
the comic words and stuff like of the characters saying stuff, and it's very like I don't know if self-aware is the word to say for
I
it.
would say it's tongue in cheek.
It's tongue in cheek, yeah. Well, it's mostly just tongue in cheek, and that's very much Edgar Wright's just style of filmmaking. I
Yeah.
think. I mean, one of like one of the first films that I watched for Edgar Wright was Shaun of the Dead, and I've seen it so many times, and I've literally seen the opening bit like so many times because I love the opening of that film. I think it's really
The
cool.
soundtrack to Scott Pilgrim was great.
Yeah,
I have the
it's-
vinyl record of it. Like I love it.
It's like every song is so good. It's just and it.
Yeah.
You get into it. You get into it for sure. I was watching with some friends, and it's funny because like it's like a manga in that every character looks good. Like it's like every character is just like there's no like
Like a
Every
CW
character is
yeah,
way
a
too
CW,
pretty.
yeah, way
Yeah.
too pretty for like and like you have like the casting character like Michael Cera.
Yeah, Michael
Cera. Like they all do really good. I mean, it's all just fun. Like they have the list of people in this film is amazing. Like you have Michael Cera, You have Audrey Plaza.
Aubrey
Plaza.
Yeah, you get it. I just said
yeah, I don't know why I met Audrey before, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But you have Brie Larson in the film. You have Chris Evans. You have
I didn't know that Chris Evans was in this movie.
He is fantastic.
Yeah.
He only has a small part, but he's great.
I love that sequence. I love the sequence with Chris Evans. It's fun.
And Brie Larson's character, she has more emotion and performance in this movie than she had in all of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like,
yeah.
I know that sounds like a trash.
That's a roast. That's a big
well, I
roast.
mean, like
That is a roast.
But that's kind of
it's
true,
also
though.
true to this movie. Is like everybody has a very specific and pinpointable like personality.
Yeah, and like this movie,
every character has a moment to shine.
That's exactly it. And I also think that like this movie is a good example because I don't think Brie Larson's a bad actor by any stretch.
No,
but I think that the script of Captain Marvel was flawed.
Yeah, Captain Marvel was not Brie Larson's fault.
Yeah,
there were many things wrong with Captain Marvel, but I don't think I think her comments on the press junkets were a problem with the movie, but I don't think she herself and her acting ability was the problem.
Was the problem?
Her performance was not her fault.
Now, granted, when the film first came out, I think I was in middle school or something, and everybody was talking about it, and I thought it was overrated. Like I looked at some stills that are like some clips, and I'm just like, I don't think this looks good at all. Like I don't think I'd like be into this, but I watched it. And it was amazing. It was a really good time. So it goes to show you just shouldn't judge.
I don't know why it's so funny, but part of what I enjoy about it is having these highly stylized anime style sequences take place in this mundane Canadian town.
Yeah, it reminded me. Film that
That
reminds me of
right.
is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and in
that,
a weird
so.
way. Yeah, I mean the film is literally also set in Canada as well.
Yeah.
It's Jim Carrey. And,
I mean, they even open with a long time ago in the strange land of Toronto, Canada.
yeah, I love that too. But yeah,
There's all 10 people who live.
But it's such an enjoyable film, and it's really well crafted, I think, and it's very much of the Edgar Wright aesthetic. And it's the story itself it's pretty good. I mean, I definitely think that like there are some issues with it, like maybe, but like I think that's still like I don't know.
Yeah, I think it slows a bit. I'm trying to avoid spoilers for Ezra in case he watches it, or the audience too.
Yeah.
But I think it slows a little bit towards the beginning of the third act, or like the ending of the second act.
Yeah, right.
It slows pretty. I guess the only thing I can say is it's a really cool sequence, but right after the fight with the how do I word it? The fight before the Cate-Cast twins.
Oh,
the one with the
Okay.
Right after that and before the Cate-Cast twins fight, that little section in there just slows down.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but other than that, it's
and then it picks right back up.
Yeah, it does. It does. And the screenwriting is funny. Like it's hilarious. Like Chris Evans' scene is so. Like I think I genuinely I recommend you watch it. Like I think you would like.
I'll give it a watch.
I think
at some point.
you would enjoy it.
It's on Netflix now, I believe.
Yeah.
I think you would enjoy it. But there's just like a lot of funny moments, and Edgar Wright knows how to write.
Great editing and transitions.
Yeah. So let's check it out, Ezra. And if anybody out there hasn't seen it,
I'll come back and.
One of the most underrated movies of the 2010s.
Yeah, I agree.
Which those are over soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Only
it's
a couple
almost
months
done.
away.
Yeah. The
6 months.
2010s. How will we look back onto
I'm
this decade?
I'm gonna look back in like 5 years. I'm gonna look back on the 2010s and just be like, this was a garbage fire.
No, I think. Well,
for movies it'll be great.
For movies it'll be great, but overall there's
for literally everything else, I'll be like, what did we do?
A bad time. But
even video games, I'll be like.
Yeah, I guess the height of that garbage fire could be considered 2016.
Absolutely.
2016 was just oof.
Yeah. Everything else besides like 2016 is like the average lower, where it's like, most of the years in the 2010s were all right, but then 2016 happens. And it's just like the average went from like a 75 to a 56.
Yeah. We hit the bottom of the barrel in 2016.
Anyways.
Wow, guys, wait.
Let's stop being depressed about 2016.
Scott Pilgrim was a really fun film. Check it
It
out.
came out in 2012.
The decade, the 2010s will definitely be the decade of for Marvel. I think people would be like, yeah,
It'd
post
be
Marvel.
the
The
Marvel
decade
era.
of Marvel.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's like we got, basically just the Marvel era.
Yeah.
All right, Sawyer, what's your topic?
My topic is I'm starting with the Underworld franchise and branching that out into sort of a discussion of those. Like, there's a kind of a sub-genre of like the early 2000s sort of like
Resident Evil.
horror fantasy kind of genre.
Oh,
Yeah.
Here, I'll list them off. You got Resident Evil. You got you got Underworld. You got Silent Hill.
Blade.
Yeah. Which I rewatched both of them.
3.
Oh, there's 3. Okay, I rewatched the first 2 then.
Yeah, that's the 2 good ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that's why. Literally, I was like, the 3rd one is bad. So but yeah, Blade, Silent Hill, Resident Evil.
Pan's Labyrinth.
I would agree. Pan's
Yeah.
but it's not like as obviously that's on a much higher.
Yeah, a much higher quality
than the other ones. But they're still like as a kid, I was very much sort of like immersed in like the worlds of these films, and I thought they were cool and like fun, like and scary too. Like they were pretty.
I have to give a shout out because I don't know if you count
Yeah.
these. But would you count the 2 live-action Scooby-Doo movies as part of
Oh,
this trend? Because they
Are
are
we
sort
just
of
gonna start talking about Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed for the
part
rest
of the
this?
Phantom episode.
read by James Gunn. Yeah.
So like specifically on Underworld.
Yeah.
I randomly when I was at Best Buy one day,
Mhm.
I saw in like the $5 bin, I saw like they had the first 3 movies in like a trilogy pack for like it was like $5 in the
Yeah.
Right,
bargain
right.
bin.
Yeah.
It's like okay. I mean, I've heard these movies are pretty bad, but my brother convinced me.
Yeah.
Might as well get it. They're
Yeah.
cheap, and you like that kind of dumb stuff.
Right,
So I was
right,
like,
right, yeah.
Okay, checked them out. They're actually really original. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say the Underworld franchise is like the pinnacle of filmmaking.
Yeah.
But their production design, at least in those first 2, is really kind of cool.
From what I recall, like the aesthetic was just and that's why I was just like I was really attracted to it. It was just like these like I haven't seen these in a while, but like based on like from my memories of like the couple first ones, there were some terrifying sequences that I thought were like I mean I don't know if like that's still the case. Wait, no, I'm thinking Resident Evil. Sorry, but Underworld.
Also, complete side note: the Hellboy movies.
Oh, the Hellboy movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just looking up. For some reason, they have the Twilight Saga.
I don't know if that counts.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
The Twilight Saga is way more in that like that like Harry Potter group
that
of
group
YA.
of teen drama.
It's
Teen
like-
drama.
like-
I was like the diversion. Like oh my, those are a thing on their own. Like just
Yeah,
movies
there's-
based on
topic.
books that were
Yeah,
not
there's
that
like
good.
that from like I don't know 2000 and I think like when did the first Twilight movie come out?
Like 2000.
I think it was 08.
Yeah, 08. Yeah.
So I think like from like Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix until I think like 2014.
Gonna
is
die
when-
with Hunger Games in 2014.
Yeah. So until like 2014, we just got like
a slew of
Twilight, Hunger Games, Divergent,
Maze Runner.
Maze
Yeah.
Runner,
The rest of Harry Potter.
the rest of Harry Potter.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, you have books, you have movies that were based off books that were actually somewhat good, but you
Yeah,
had
Harry
yeah.
Potter.
Harry Potter.
You had
But like you had like books.
oh, what was the one?
Fall-
Ender's Game.
Ender's Game, yeah.
Ender's Game was actually great.
Yeah.
Oh, The Host. I remember The Host was some big thing.
Yeah.
The Giver,
The Giver.
which I haven't seen. The
I
book
did.
is one of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah.
And apparently it just misses the point of the book entirely.
Yeah.
I saw it back in like when it came out in theaters. I barely remember it.
Mhm.
I remember being like, yeah, it's fine, but it didn't blow me
Yeah,
away.
It's,
Yeah.
Well, the thing about the book is that it specifically sort of bucks the romance subplot and chooses to run with something that's actually like a comment on humanity.
Yeah.
Whereas
This movie
like,
wasn't that.
This movie actually just runs with the romantic subplot and makes it the main plot,
Yeah.
which is frustrating to me because
Yeah.
that's not the movie.
But like
Yeah.
back,
So anyways, back to
Back to Underworld.
Back to
Underworld.
early 2000s
like
for
I guess
fantasy.
for like specifically from what I remember Underworld being just like the aesthetic was really cool. I mean I liked it a lot.
It's got a really interesting like gothic kind of. Have you
Hmm.
seen any of these, Ezra?
No, I haven't.
It's got kind of a gothic city kind of thing. It's kind of like what you would see when you walk into a Hot Topic in like 2004.
yeah.
Like that kind of.
Oh my god.
This
true.
genre really is
Yeah.
just Hot Topic the movie. Is
Yeah,
really what a
pretty
lot of
much,
these
yeah.
are. It's a lot of leather
That sounds about
and
right, yeah.
grungy new metal and stuff like that.
That was
which was
Underworld.
just me in the 2000s. Like, I mean, I've always been a metal fan.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So with Evanescence and Linkin Park and Disturbed and Avenged Sevenfold in the soundtrack, Leather and all this kind of stuff.
That's
it's
cool.
I mean, these movies are dumb, but they have a mythology that's interesting to learn about. A really interesting set design and production design.
Very much a product of its time.
Very much a product of its
But like
time.
obviously it's set in a, like, you know, it's the story's different, but like, you know, like it's interesting to look at this and like Blade and Resident Evil
And the prequel they did, I think the third one was the prequel, Rise of the Lycans, is a really interesting kind of like medieval fantasy movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's and there's actually some really good actors attached to the project, like Bill Nighy. I can't wait for him.
Oh yeah.
He's
he played the villain in Detective Pikachu.
He's one of the vampires in this, and there's also Martin Sheen's attached, and he's great.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of
Robert Pattinson. Wait.
Oh.
And Kate Beckinsale, I mean, she seems to kind of be phoning it in the later ones, but those first three are great. The fourth one is cashed in on the let's do a really small budget, but get money off the whole 3D craze. Like, kind of thing.
The fourth, and then like I didn't realize, but like the last one that came out was 2016.
Yeah, I saw it. It wasn't that bad.
Huh.
I had Tobias Menzies from Game of Thrones in it as the bad guy.
Wow, nice.
And then what's his face from Divergent?
Oh.
The actor from Divergent.
But, like, it wasn't bad, but those first three were, I mean, the peak of the whole. Let's make a gothic hot topic movie.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I still recommend them. People who, if you don't take movies too seriously, check out the Underworld movies. They're dumb, but they're fun.
Yeah.
And if you remember the 2000s at all, you'll
remember this
you'll
crappy time in film history.
Yeah, this time in film history where film was just.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, I wanted to quickly talk about like films like Resident Evil. Very similar. It's very, I mean, like not similar like exactly to the aesthetic, but like kind of similar within like the grand scheme of things, like the movies and stuff. Like, but did Underworld have a game released for it?
It only came out in Europe.
Okay.
And Japan.
Gotcha. Yeah. But
Sounds about right.
But yeah, I mean,
it was PS2.
Yeah, but like within the same vein of like these types of films from the early 2000s, Resident Evil had the same kind of like impact on me, and like Silent Hill.
Yeah.
And you know, Blade too, but
the era of just bad video game movies.
Yeah, pretty much. But they're probably if I revisit them, they're probably all bad. But
I mean, I've revisited Underworld. They're not. At least the first three aren't that bad.
Yeah.
You can go wrong.
But I would like to revisit them just for like I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious whether or not they held up.
I'm gonna check out the Resident Evil movies at some point. So I guess we're just swapping. I'm gonna go back and check out. Yeah.
I'll do Underworld. But yeah.
I think it's that we have to keep going back to these different era specific stuff. And we did early 2000s horror, early 2000s hot topic style cinema.
We're just gonna have an early 2000s special at some point.
Very enjoyable.
That's what I pretty much just call it as that genre. Instead of calling it gothic horror fantasy, I just call it the hot topic genre.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way to put it too.
That is a good way to put it, because that's like the whole point of Hot Topic is to be bad.
And nowadays it's just pop vinyls and Rick and Morty T-shirts.
Oh no!
I don't know. Have you been into a Hot Topic recently?
I was in the mall before going to for fall semester, just around there, and I walked past the Hot Topic. I was like, why not? I went in there and I was like, this is quite different from what I remember.
See, I went into a Hot Topic recently, and it was No, wait, that's not true. I went into a hot Topic for the first time recently, and it was exactly as I expected it to be, and I did not like it.
It's not really the whole grungy metal place anymore, so much as it's just pop culture story.
It does still have that, like, edgy vibe to it.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, let's get to our topic of the week. We have kind of an expansive one for you guys this time. We're going to do soundtracks.
So soundtracks is in soundtracks, or can we do like film scores as well?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
Both and.
Okay.
Yeah. When I say soundtrack, I just mean anything that is associated with the product that we're talking about.
Right.
So if we're talking about Final Fantasy VII soundtrack, I mean the game soundtrack and any like theme songs.
Soundtracks and scores.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, the first one I have to mention, because I know you guys both enjoy it, Daft Punk's Tron Legacy soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's top 10 for me. I mean that like that along that like partnered with like the visuals of the film really just amplified the entire experience. Like, and every time I get, I'm gonna probably rewatch that over the summer because I do every year. But
anything of Tron Legacy, another watch.
yeah, it's such a good movie, dude.
We need to do a
God.
commentary for that.
It's like
We should.
It's such like a. I would be down for that. I would be totally down for that. But it's like it's not like it's not the greatest film ever made. But it's like for me, it's. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call it a guilty pleasure because I'm not really guilty about it. But it's just like it's so enjoyable to watch and I love it. And it's just like it really like as a kid like we were talking about how Disney kind of like. Disney's known for. Which is sad, but like now, because like compared to like some of the films now, but Disney's really known for like
Trying something new
and bringing out that imagination for a lot of kids, and like that was me as a kid. I was just like, wow, this is insane, and like it definitely like it was definitely one of the films that made me curious as to like the filmmaking process.
Well, and like this is kind of a side note, but I just kind of want to address it with the Tron thing, is Disney would always, this will lead back into soundtracks, but like they would always kind of, when they did try something new, sometimes they would base them off of other properties.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean is technically based off of the ride.
Right.
Tron's technically a sequel.
Yeah.
Most of their classic animated movies are just old fairy tales.
They're based on fairy tales, yeah. But at least they would always try and do something new
Different
with the
and
program.
new, yeah.
Instead of, it wasn't just a straight up remake. Tron, even though it's a sequel, is very different from the
Very
original
different,
Tron.
and they reimagined it, and like, and that in itself, just like looking at like a live action. We talked about Detective Pikachu, but like a live action situation of that film, how would that look? And they did a really good job with that.
Which is what is so great about the Tron Legacy soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because they find a way, I guess Daft Punk did, when they made the soundtrack for this, to make it a modern techno kind of thing, but also infuse that kind of 80s synthy noir
and
kind
it's
of.
very immersive, dude. And like that's like one of the reasons why I love like it's like just the 80s, like just a lot of like songs from the 80s, just because it has that similar kind of like techno.
Well, and there's
feel.
the ones in the background,
yeah.
like when Garrett Hedlund's character is going in.
That's
getting their Sweet Dreams.
Every time I hear that anywhere, I'm just like. I just in my head I just like picture him like walking down the thing and like finding the coin and like just or
the old light cycle arcade game.
Yeah. That's what I get. I literally get that.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's
it just goes to show it's interesting like just knowing like sometimes something that the song is attached to is more like well known than like the song itself or I don't know.
That's one of the only two soundtracks I have on vinyl. That and Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
The only two.
All right. I think
I
mine.
already mentioned the Scott Pilgrim.
Oh yeah, Scott
Yeah.
Pilgrim. Plus, the Scott Pilgrim one is amazing. But for me, I mean, we could talk about the greatest, scores, and we will. But for me personally, I think that any one of the scores from the spaghetti westerns of Sergio Leone, Ennio Morricone, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
That good, the bad, and the ugly. That good, and the bad, and the ugly score is so iconic.
It's iconic because like it's like whenever you like it's very.
I can't do it correctly.
Okay. Anyway,
Copyright. Yes,
we're gonna get taken down, guys.
Just for whistling.
But it's like so. Whenever like it's the thing is spaghetti westerns. It's just like they're people have like kind of made like like their own versions of like westerns and stuff. But it's so related to like the spaghetti westerns. Whenever you hear that, you instantly think spaghetti westerns.
You think spaghetti westerns, and you think Clint Eastwood, and you think Good and Bad.
And that's when you have something like that. That's you've created one of the greatest scores of all time. It's something where it's just like very. People are very attached to it. You've instantly created one of the greatest scores of all time, and I have to give it a mention.
Yeah, that one's great. I have to pay tribute to Inception.
Oh yeah.
I think that soundtrack's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's Hans Zimmer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything he touches is great.
Yeah.
All right.
The BBS scores.
BBS was all right. Okay, well, that's a whole.
In any case.
So now we have to talk about more of the more popular, like we kind of talked about. Like, things that are commonly associated with these films. For instance,
the horns.
The horns.
The like.
That's
like that's just movies now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that. Like you go back and watch like an old Iron Man trailer, and it doesn't have really any of that.
No,
like,
they mostly play Iron Man by Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Most of that trailer.
Yeah.
Well, but you even watch like
For some reason, as a kid, I thought they made that song for that film. I didn't know that was like a.
I think I'm trying to remember. Like, I think you can very clearly draw a line from like when a trailer had come out before Inception and when it came out after Inception, and it's very clearly like Inception just changed the game for trailers.
Yeah.
Now we're going back into a more sort of like Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor Ragnarok style, where we pick a classic song and just run with it for the trailer.
Yeah.
But we have to.
Yeah.
We do have to talk about like scores. I mean, I'm gonna mention the Jaws score. I mean, that's iconic as well.
John Williams, anything.
I mean, Star Wars, obviously.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter as well. What else did he recently make? Indiana Jones as well.
Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Star Wars.
yeah.
I was thinking the Batman.
Is it Batman '89?
Yeah, '89. And I think they added it into, I think something.
They infused part of the Justice League soundtrack with the original.
The original Batman. Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Speaking of Batman, just the Nolan Batman trilogy.
Oh yeah,
was great.
Oh yeah. But there's a slew of other like just soundtracks.
The one I wanted to talk about one that's specifically underrated. James Horner's, I think it's James Horner's, score for Unbreakable from 2000 is one of the most underrated scores, and it sets the mood for that film so great.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that film is either very silent or just very whispered, a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
There's specifically a scene with Bruce Willis in the rain on like a track, and it's great. It's one of the best scenes in the movie.
E.T., another John Williams. It was John Williams, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Pretty much you mentioned Spielberg, it's probably
John Williams. John Williams, anything. But I guess Psycho. Alfred Hitchcock, really iconic soundtrack. I don't know. There's other like things I'm just trying to think of.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things that I'm like blanking on, because like part of the problem is that like when you think about some soundtracks, like I'm thinking about a lot of animated movies soundtracks, and some of them are really good. Like I really like Big Hero 6's soundtrack, but Frozen, I don't even know if it has so much a soundtrack as it is like a musical.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I mean, it's great, but I don't know how I feel about that, like including it as part of the film score.
Considering it's the movie, not necessarily just the score.
Yeah.
Soundtrack for Forrest Gump it's pretty
Guardians
good.
of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. The score for Endgame or Infinity War.
The Avengers theme is great, and the score for both Infinity War and Endgame is terrific.
From Infinity War is one of the best songs in that movie.
Yeah.
It's I think it's like the Thanos song kind of thing.
Yeah, but like Guardians of the Galaxy, like a lot of those, like literally, it's insane to think about. But you have a lot of those songs that were in the film that were for the most part forgotten about, but
and then they just brought them back.
And I think they reached the charts too because of film like the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Which
is great.
Yeah, but
I need to shout out some TV ones too.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's like Ramin something. The guy who does the Game of Thrones soundtracks.
Right.
If you want like a good sample of his work, Reigns of Castamere and Winds of Winter are two of the best ones. He does just a great job with those.
Yeah.
And then Bear McCreary, he did the Battlestar Galactica soundtrack, and he does a bunch of video game soundtracks and TV soundtracks. He specifically his Battlestar one, and the reason why I'm mentioning a lot of these specific ones of soundtracks is not because of necessarily how iconic they are, but of how well they set and fit the mood for a specific thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is what I love about Bear McCreary's Battlestar one, is you can feel the desperation and the whole we're lost in space with no one to help us kind of feeling.
Now, what do you guys think entails a good soundtrack? Does it have to? Because this is a pretty loaded question. Do you have to is it?
So for me,
it propels the experience for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to.
Yeah.
So there's just for example's sake, there's the spoilers for Captain America: Civil War. There's the scene where Tony finds out that Bucky killed his mom.
The score in that scene is great.
Yeah.
the score might be great, but when I was watching it for the first time, I found myself sort of taken aback by how prominent it was in the scene and how much it sort of overtook. Like it didn't mesh with the acting. It was just like there alongside the acting, and so it kind of took me out, and I didn't like that as much. It sort of felt overdone.
Yeah.
So like I think part of the first part of it is that it has to sort of mesh with what's on screen in an effective way, because the soundtrack, like the score in that scene is fine, but I don't know if it, like, it felt more like a sort of old drama score, not really like a, and I hesitate to use like a superhero movie score, but like the Dark Knight theme meshes well with every scene it's in, because it's specifically put there as the Dark Knight theme. They don't just use it just to use it, and they don't put it in a scene where it doesn't fit.
Right.
There are a lot of, I think it's really just the one part of Civil War where it's just like, I didn't feel like the soundtrack meshed with what was on screen, and they could have used, probably would have been better if it was just silent.
I think Black Panther did a pretty good job doing that. Just kind of they created the different kind of sound effects and like song and sound for like each character, and it would switch when you cut from one character to the other one.
Yeah.
So like that was a good use of that, I guess. The Shining had a really good one, a really good soundtrack. 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh yeah.
A really good soundtrack. I have to mention this one, but Whiplash had a really good soundtrack, obviously for good reasons. I mean,
it's a music movie, so
yeah, we still have to mention those because those are so important too. So I mean, those were also pretty good.
The South Park movie has a pretty great soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Can't really repeat any of the titles, but it's on this family-friendly show. But yeah. Apollo 13 has a really great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Interstellar.
Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
I recently I have to rewatch it, but I love that movie.
Yeah. Most of Christopher Nolan's filmography has in his.
I will say Memento's soundtrack is kind of not present.
I haven't seen Memento.
Like Memento is weird because it's like, it definitely has a soundtrack. Like, what movie doesn't have a soundtrack?
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, it's very much in the background. It's not something you're paying attention to.
But
like, I've never thought about the Memento soundtrack in my entire life.
Some of Quentin Tarantino's films, Django Unchained had a pretty cool. Pulp Fiction. Soundtrack. And then obviously one of his first films. I'm blanking on the name. Crap. Why did I forget this? Why? It's a really good movie.
The Tarantino movie?
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah, Reservoir Dogs. Yeah.
For me, like, to answer your question, like, what makes a great score is it having personality and fitting with the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Like, I even though I know the goal with a lot of like Hollywood films is you don't want the stuff to be noticeable. Like, for example, with editing, you don't want your editing to be noticeable.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want a score to be noticeable, but I want it to mesh completely with the scene, that it enhances it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, oh, we need music here, throw some music on it. If it fits with the tone or the character, give it some personality. Like what I said with the Scott Pilgrim one. It has that weird, quirky, kind of like indie pop kind of thing to it. Yeah. And Tron's got that synthy 80s vibe as well as the new techno to it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think another great one is the Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like you're listening to Miles Morales' iPod or something like that. It works really well.
It's a good Baby
example.
Driver.
Baby Driver.
Oh, Baby
Driver is another example.
Another good example of Edgar Wright in his use of just like sound and editing to create this overall better experience.
Yeah, like that movie is a lesson in how you sort of create immersion in a film.
If Scott Pilgrim versus the World is more so editing based, I think Baby Driver is definitely sound editing.
It's kind of hard to watch Baby Driver now, though. But,
Yeah, it is. It's unfortunate. I haven't seen it since.
It's sad because the Kevin Spacey thing. But I think I watched it sort of post Kevin Spacey, and it's sort of like, yeah, I don't like Kevin Spacey, but the rest of the movie is terrific.
Yeah.
Well,
It's unfortunate.
there was one. Oh, and I can't talk about soundtracks without mentioning the soundtrack for Blade Runner 2049.
Oh.
Both of them, but
Yeah,
specifically 2049.
2049
amazing.
Aliens.
Aliens or Alien?
Alien and Aliens, I guess. Yeah. But I guess I'm trying to think of horror films that have had like good scores that.
Halloween.
Yeah. That are iconic. I guess Jason.
Yeah.
But those are more sound effects, but.
Are we talking sound effects or are we talking just scores? Because if we're going sound effects, I've got quite a few up my sleeve.
No, we're just
mention.
gonna keep the scores.
Yeah, let's keep it to.
But let's
just
talk
the
about
lightsaber, the gunfires from Star Wars, the droid. No.
The Wilhelm scream. No, there's. I think we could talk about Disney scores, like and
Disney scores are great.
What's your favorites?
Favorite Disney score?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already going with Tron. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess I could just say like an Avengers movie.
But like I'm talking about,
You mean
Disney
like
proper?
Animated. Yeah.
Disney animated. Probably somewhere in the sort of like new age, like
Frozen. Let it snow.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Wow.
It's
I was
not
gonna say
like-
you didn't hear that song every day forever for like the last 5 years.
No, I'm gonna say either. I think the Wreck-It Ralph soundtrack is actually surprisingly underrated.
I agree.
And
Big Hero 6 you already mentioned.
Big Hero 6 is great.
Yeah. I haven't watched through a ton of the old classic Disney proper movies, but I have watched a lot of the Pixar ones, and I guess we can kind of count Pixar.
Yeah.
Mulan's is.
Yeah. The Incredibles has a great soundtrack.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Incredibles. Forgot about that.
Yeah. And then obviously Toy Story.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's specifically the Incredibles soundtrack, and then Finding Nemo's was
Finding
great.
Nemo is
great.
one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Well-
No studio except for maybe Marvel Studios has had as good as a hot streak as Pixar had from 1995 through about 2005.
Yeah.
Like they had one
Yeah.
of the greatest hot streaks of any studio.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
I don't
I'd
know
say
if Marvel has had a hot streak so much as it's just had consistency.
yeah, well, like
Yeah.
Pixar, like every single one of those movies they had from 95 to about. I don't want to go past 06 because I don't think Cars is that great. But I think,
like Cars.
with the exception of A Bug's Life, every movie from 1995 through 2004 was a hit.
Yeah.
Every single one of those movies could be considered one of the best animated movies ever.
Like
Yeah,
just like
hit like critically, commercially, and I would consider every single one of those movies one of the best of all time.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, like Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc.,
Yeah.
The Incredibles,
I
Toy
agree.
Story 1
I
and
mean,
2.
they're the most memorable for all, like at least our generation for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
So I
like
mean,
Finding Nemo is just my childhood.
Yeah, and it brought back Ellen's career, I think, because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
she wasn't doing.
Brought back a lot of people's career. in
Right,
those
yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
But,
So I think we're neglecting a very large section of the soundtrack world,
Video games.
and that's video games.
yeah.
Are we talking about the same one here first off?
I mean, it was in the back of my mind.
Metal Gear.
Oh.
I was like, no.
The encounter theme from the first Metal Gear game is iconic.
Yeah.
If you have been present for any Metal Gear marketing, the do 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 do. It's like that's just Metal Gear's soundtrack.
Yeah.
That
basically.
the theme song for Metal Gear Solid 2 is one of the best ones.
I was gonna say James Bond.
Oh yeah, James Bond. All of them
Oh, yeah.
are great.
Yeah.
But I'll get back to James Bond. 'cause I got some stuff to say there.
Snake Eater's soundtrack is just James
Yeah.
Bond.
Yeah.
The other ones I want to get out of the way of Metal Gear, so I can go back to James Bond. What's it called? Sins of the Father from 5 is really great. As is that version of Man Who Sold the World. What's the one? There's a really good one in Peace Walker. I can't remember the name of. And then in Metal Gear Solid 4, Old Snake is really great.
Rules of Nature.
Rules of Nature, obviously.
The Metal Gear Rising soundtrack is apparently just all hits.
Yeah, like
I haven't listened to the whole thing yet.
the Rising Revengeance soundtrack is it's dumb and it's loud, but it's so much
it's
fun.
just metal.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's just like tons of metal and screaming, and
Yeah.
it's great.
But if you want like a really good orchestral soundtrack, the fourth soundtrack has a lot of like Western sounding tracks.
Oh.
It's kind of it like we talked about how it's sort of like Logan.
Yeah.
I think the soundtrack is very sort of Logan-esque.
Like if you, I mean, I know, do you listen to the tracks of movies you haven't even seen?
Yeah.
The Metal Gear Solid 4 soundtrack, specifically Old Snake, has a very Western sound
Oh,
to it.
wow. Yeah. Like, check it out.
So there's Metal Gear. Trying to think of like which one I want to do first. I'll throw in a softball and say the Shovel Knight soundtrack is great.
Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda's. I think. My favorite Zelda soundtrack is probably a tie between Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. Skyward Swords is fine. Breath of the Wild is just kind of non-existent.
Dang.
Well, it's just no, that's part of the point.
Yeah,
The game is just really quiet
Yeah.
for a lot of it. So like, Twilight Princess is probably my favorite. Has probably my favorite like Hyrule Field theme, but in terms of just sort of song to song, I think probably Wind Waker is my favorite one. Although
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's got a lot of tracks.
Final Fantasy, that's a lot of the battle theme. Like both battle themes from Final Fantasy VII are great.
But we're forgetting probably the most iconic video game song of all time.
Sonic.
The original Mario soundtrack. See, I don't know if I like the original Mario soundtrack. Sure, I don't know if I care that much about other Mario soundtracks.
Well, I'm not saying they're great. I'm just saying in terms of how iconic. Mario Galaxy is a really great soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Sunshine's
not
is fine too,
like
but-
if you ask me, hey, can you hum the Galaxy soundtrack? No. But if I'm playing the game, I'd be like, yeah, this soundtrack is really good and it fits with the world.
mood, yeah.
And then also answering you, all the Bond soundtracks are great.
Yeah.
And the classic theme, Casino Royale's is perfect. I love Chris Cornell's You Know My Name.
Yeah,
Look at that.
yeah.
It's really great.
Yeah. And like the opening, I mean, like the theme of like James Bond, like the
The Dr. No theme.
That's the Doctor. But Mission Impossible, I just literally just
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
Too.
And I mentioned the movie earlier, but as dumb as it is, the soundtrack to Underworld is great.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very. I guess it's more of just a personal guilty pleasure kind of, but like
I mean,
that.
that's still, yeah.
Evanescence, Bring Me to Life,
Yeah.
and all those other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you also have, I don't know, you have movies like La La Land who like are like there's it's just like the soundtracks or like A Star Is Born, like the
soundtrack
songs
just is the movie.
Is the movie and Whiplash I mentioned already.
Yeah.
Which is just like diegetic.
Yeah.
Stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just going back to like Final Fantasy stuff. 10. So like Final Fantasy 10, 13, and 15 all have great battle themes. All of the Kingdom Hearts soundtracks are knockouts. Like 10 out of 10, perfect.
IGN 10 out of 10. IGN 10 out of 10.
Too much soundtrack.
Too much soundtrack. Another classic one, Terminator.
Oh,
Terminator
yeah,
soundtrack
of course,
is great.
Yeah. There's just like anything from the 80s.
Most 80s movie soundtracks are great.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. So you have like the 80s. We just opened up a whole door of things. Anything from John Hughes, like any one of his films.
Yeah.
You have The Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller.
Well, I know these are both 90s, but The Matrix is a pretty good one. At the time.
yeah.
And it's not as prominent, but the Rock has a great soundtrack.
Yeah, that's true. You had like A Hard Day's Night, the Beatles thing, the movie that they made, and then
Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Yeah. We mentioned Chris Nolan, Interstellar, really good. The Godfather.
Yeah.
Great.
Shawshank is a pretty good soundtrack.
Oh yeah, Shawshank as well has a really good soundtrack.
Donnie Darko. That's
Donnie
another
Darko,
underrated one.
Footloose.
Footloose.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm just like trying to think of read some off.
Yeah.
The Coen brothers have, generally good soundtracks throughout their films. I don't know. It's hard because like I feel like it's very like objective.
Yeah.
Like it's just like I think this one's better than this one.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, I was
Great,
gonna say
great soundtrack.
Lord of the Rings, Titanic.
Titanic.
Yeah, I mean,
Avatar.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
there, it's there. And hey, you know what?
Avatar. Let's not go too far here.
I'm just joking.
Avatar
we
2,
run with
Avatar 2,
Titanic,
3, and 4 have a pretty good soundtrack.
Yeah, we went to the future and found out how great the soundtrack was in Avatar 2, 3,
Turns
4,
out,
and 5.
turns out, all 5 Avatar movies are perfect if you put them together.
Yeah, they're one long overarching saga.
Oh man, kill me.
Honestly,
now.
I'm expecting.
Are they making? Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, are they making the Avatar? Are they gonna try to make an Avatar franchise kind of like the Star Wars or even Marvel?
I think they're gonna want it to be like Star Wars. I don't know. If
I mean, they want everything to be on that level. And I don't know if Avatar is.
I'm
gonna
expecting that these next few Avatar movies, they're not going to be standalone. The first one, they're all going to build into one storyline, which is going to make the first one stick out a little bit. It's going to be like the Back to the Future thing.
Yeah.
The first one's standalone, but then 2 or 3 are basically just a separate thing.
Yeah. What else?
I was gonna say there's a Steven Soderbergh film where like he films like a concert that I saw. It's on like YouTube, I think, and it's one of his earlier films, him starting off, and it's just a really good example of just like filming, like, you know, having that diegetic sound in the film and also having it be really good, like kind of like a concert kind of thing. So I think that was really good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up the name.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
Speaking of diegetic soundtracks.
Yeah.
Another one. This is kind of it's a weird example, but because it's kind of a musical, but also kind of not. Have you guys ever heard of Through the Never, the Metallica thing?
Yeah. Is that the film, like the docu?
No, that's some kind of monster.
Oh,
This one, Through the Never, was they recorded a concert in Madison Square Garden or somewhere. But what they did, what was really cool, is they brought in Dane DeHaan back when he was just starting off, and they spliced in this narrative of Dane DeHaan playing a roadie and having to go get some MacGuffin for the band, and he's going as the music and like is cutting the scenes of the concert, and it keeps cutting back to the world around the roadie is transforming based on whatever song the band is playing.
Yeah.
So
that's
like
great.
when they get to Master of Puppets, there's a bunch of just explosions and
That's cool.
everything.
Yeah.
It looks. I haven't checked out the movie yet. I've only seen the trailer, but I'm definitely wanting to check it out because it looks really interesting. And of course, I have to give it. If there's a Metallica soundtrack, I have to give it a shout out.
Yeah.
And it made me think of School of Rock. It's a
Oh,
great
I was gonna
soundtrack,
say
too.
School of
Yeah.
Rock. Anything? Jack Black, maybe? No, not really. But
Nacho
School-
Libre has the best soundtrack.
Let me think. Every Sonic soundtrack since Sonic Adventure is terrific. Sonic 06, if the game was as good as its soundtrack, it'd be one of the best video games of all time. I'm not even kidding.
Devil May Cry soundtrack.
5's Devil Trigger theme is great. I don't know about any of the other stuff with that.
Another one that's pretty cool. Well, all the early Call of Duty soundtracks are really good. Like Black Ops and the Modern Warfare trilogy had great soundtracks.
Yeah.
That sitting in the main menu of Black Ops where it's like dun 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 dun, like it's like yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Like,
fun.
it's iconic, pretty much. Getting ready.
Yeah. The Nier Automata soundtrack is terrific. Partially, like, they don't have a lot of themes in that game and like a lot of different songs, but what they did was they have like 5 different versions for every song, one of which is 8-bit, which is great.
Minecraft.
It does have an iconic one.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It does.
It's sort of a
it's
sort of a
recog-
weird kind of soundtrack because it's like there but not there.
We're forgetting one of the most iconic and obvious soundtracks to mention when you talk video game soundtracks.
I think I know what you're talking about.
What am I talking about?
Undertale?
Nope.
Oh, you weren't talking about Undertale?
No, I know what
Undertale is apparently iconic. I don't care about it.
I'm talking the Halo soundtrack.
Oh yeah, Halo.
Halo's main theme, as well as I can't remember the name of it. I think it's not Enclosure. It might be Enclosure. I don't know. The main soundtrack specifically for ODST is one of my favorites of any video game ever. I don't know if they have a vinyl record of it, but if they do, I'm so picking it up because that is one of the best game soundtracks ever. It's got it kind of reminds me of the Blade Runner soundtrack.
Oh yeah. That was a really good soundtrack. Right, yeah. It was,
Well, let me think. Is there anything else?
I mean, I pretty much mentioned all the ones I want to mention.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of 8-bit stuff that's great, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sonic
Gone with the
06
Wind. I
soundtrack.
guess we were talking about.
Oh,
this.
Do we want to do? Because I know we were talking about. Or if we're done with
Kingdom Hearts. Is that
soundtrack here?
Yeah, I mean probably my favorite one is 3. Actually, 3 might have my favorite soundtrack just because it has everything.
So, do you guys both, off the top of your heads, or well, let's leave that for next week. if we
What?
do that,
Oh
actually.
wait. Well.
I was gonna see because I was gonna do a little mini game where see
Uh-oh.
which one of you, because I looked it up recently because of the Avengers box office. If you guys can correctly guess the top 5 domestic box office.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Wait,
I'm gonna
Alright,
make
here's
right
a
here, is that okay?
here's a
Yeah,
mini game.
right
Here's
now.
a mini game.
Yeah.
So Sawyer's gonna pull it up.
I'm gonna pull it up and then
away
I'm
from
because
the
I already know it, so that's why I'm not.
All right, Ahmad, you guess first.
So top
Well,
5.
let me pull up the.
Are we adjusting for inflation?
adjusting for inflation?
Is this worldwide
Yes.
or domestic?
Domestic. So we're talking. Well, I guess we can do both if we got time. But right now we're gonna do the all-time worldwide box office, not domestic actually. All-time worldwide for, and I guess they don't have an adjusted for inflation worldwide.
Okay, so just all time worldwide.
All-time.
all-time worldwide
Okay.
top 5 to 1, not 1 to 5.
5 to 1.
5 to
Okay, I got this. Okay, so
So-
here it is.
Ahmad, I'm gonna probably just steal Ahmad's answers
All right.
unless I know that he's wrong.
Should I write this down? I feel like I should write it down. Yeah, so you don't cheat off of it here.
So you don't cheat off.
Wait, no. You have to say them.
Well, I know, but I want to write it down, and I want Sawyer to read them off after we get them all down and listed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And we'll see if it gets closer. Here.
All right, here. I'll write mine down too.
All right, I'm gonna. Do you have? Wait, I don't have a pencil.
And I didn't bring my book bag.
You know what? I'm gonna win.
Okay, so I pulled up
I'm definitely
all-time
going.
domestic adjusted for
Oh,
inflation.
so we're doing
I pulled
domestic.
up 3. I pulled up all-time worldwide, all-time domestic, and all-time domestic adjusted for inflation.
I don't have something. Okay, I'm just gonna.
Alright.
I'm just gonna.
Number 5.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have anything to list here. Can I use your phone possibly?
Well, we're
No,
recording.
we're recording on this phone. No,
just guess them because we'll remember. We'll tell you.
Okay.
the
Okay.
scores
So
at the
are we
end.
doing the first one now? What are we?
We're doing worldwide grosses 5 to 1 first.
Okay. Avatar. Wait, 5 to 1.
5 to 1.
Okay.
So just guess number 5. And I'll get.
Okay.
Like how
Number.
I do with
Okay.
the-
Oh wait. Okay. So wait. How about this? How about we both guess and like you'll just say.
And then
which-
I'll give the answer. That's what I was
Yeah.
planning.
all
You
right.
both give your answer for number 5, 4,
Okay.
3, 2,
Okay.
and 1.
Right now I'm gonna say worldwide. It's Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End.
For number 5? Number 5
Yeah.
worldwide? Okay.
Yeah.
And Ezra?
I'm going to say.
Oh, actually, I'm gonna say Twilight Zone. Or no, Twilight
Twilight
Zone.
Zone.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
Twilight.
Twilight. Yeah, I'm gonna say Twilight Breaking Dawn.
No, I'm gonna say Twilight Breaking.
You're both saying Breaking Dawn for
Oh,
number 5
oh,
worldwide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna say Pirates. I'm gonna say Pirates.
Mom, we can't do this again. We have to stick on.
Okay,
it.
Pirates of the Caribbean. At, one of the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right, okay, I guess it counts. So, number 5 worldwide gross of all time is Infinity War.
Oh.
Is that right? It's
Wow.
Infinity War.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Cool.
that makes-
At least okay. I have a guess for 4 and 3 that I didn't.
I was gonna have Infinity War be a little higher.
So, number
Alright.
4 worldwide.
Transformers 4.
I'm gonna say.
Also,
Not
I should highlight these are all coming from Box Office Mojo, by the way.
Yeah.
Worldwide. This is tough. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a Transformers film.
Okay, both going Transformers?
Yeah.
Number 4 worldwide is Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Oh,
of course.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 3 worldwide.
This is just gonna be like.
It's Transformers 4. I'm gonna. If Ahmad's allowed to guess general franchises, I'm just gonna say Transformers.
Okay. Well, that's wrong. Okay.
You did it 2 times.
Well, here's the thing. If it wasn't. Okay. I'm gonna say it's definitely it's Titanic.
Hmm?
Oh, frick.
Yeah, it's Titanic.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2.
I'm definitely
Avengers Endgame.
Avengers Endgame. Avengers
It's
Endgame.
definitely
It's Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys can guess number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I won by one.
Yeah. I'm on 1 by 2.
Okay, so that's
Wait,
all
no,
time.
by
one, yeah.
That's all time worldwide. Now we're going unadjusted for inflation, domestic.
Oh my god.
So Gone with the Wind is nowhere near this.
Okay.
Is Gone with the Wind? Oh yeah. Adjusted so this is
So this is unadjusted. So as it is without adjusting for inflation. So what is number 5 domestic unadjusted?
I'm gonna say it's a Twilight film.
Yeah, Twilight.
Number
Oh,
5.
sorry, it's Harry Potter. Sorry.
Oh, I'm gonna change my guess to him.
Oh my god.
Number 5 domestic unadjusted is Infinity War.
Oh wow.
I keep getting surprised that Infinity War is on this
What about
list, and I
it?
shouldn't be. It made a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's just that Endgame did so much
Also,
better.
Harry Potter would more so make sense for like domestically. I don't know if it did good worldwide.
Yeah.
But it probably did, but like it did better here.
Number 4.
Ooh. Number 4 is absolutely.
It's Force Awakens.
Oh, wait. It's Black Panther.
It's Force Awakens. Is this domestically?
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
wait, I didn't know.
Yeah, we're doing
we
domestic.
just did worldwide.
Oh, yeah.
This is domestic.
It's so
It's Black Panther.
No, it's not. It's. I'm gonna stick with Force Awakens.
It's Black Panther.
Oh,
Yes!
Dang it! Oh.
Yeah. Number 3. World domestic.
Number
Number 3
3.
unadjusted.
I'm gonna say Titanic.
Endgame.
Number 3 is Endgame.
Oh,
Yes!
dang it!
Yeah. Number 2 domestic unadjusted.
Force Awakens.
Titanic.
The correct answer is Avatar.
Oh.
Is that right?
Titanic's at number 6, and what was the one you got?
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
Is number one.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's number 1.
Oh,
yeah.
Haha, I
Dang
beat
it.
you.
Dang
I
it.
beat you at
Right.
domestic.
Dang
Okay. And the last one. This is adjusted for inflation. Top 5.
I think.
Domestically.
Domestically adjusted for inflation. Yeah.
All right, so we cancel out number 1 because I think we all know which one that
We,
is.
we probably know number
Yeah.
1. We'll figure it out. Yeah.
Adjusted for inflation. Number 5.
Also,
This is hard.
Just so I can tell you guys this, adjusted for inflation, Force Awakens is at number 11, which is still pretty impressive that even though it's number 1 unadjusted, it still makes the top list for
Really?
adjusted. Yeah.
So I'm just not going to know any of these. Because if what we all know is number 1 is number 1.
I think you could. I mean, these are films you've heard of before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
I'm gonna say Jaws.
I'm going to follow you on that. Yeah.
Uh,
Jaws.
It is for number 5, Titanic.
Oh. Okay.
Jaws
okay.
came in at number 7.
Oh, dang it. Oh, I mean, that was close.
Yeah. Number 4.
Number 4 is.
It's a Star Wars film.
Can we guess the Star Wars
I
franchise?
mean, you can guess the Star Wars franchise. Yeah.
Oh, is it a Pirates movie?
Was this worldwide?
Domestic.
No, this is domestic adjusted for inflation. Is it a Pirates movie? It's either. I think Star Wars is 3. That's my thinking on this.
All right.
I'm gonna
Sawyer
say-
just rubbed his ear though. I don't know.
What would
I'm gonna say a Harry Potter film.
Harry Potter.
It's not Harry Potter.
Wait, hold on.
I'm gonna say.
Wait.
Titanic was 5. Oh,
I'm gonna say Lord of the Rings film.
I'm gonna say Avatar.
Yeah.
Avatar.
You're going Avatar. You're going Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. Number 4, adjusted for inflation domestically, is E.T.
Oh.
Oh yeah, of course. Why not?
Yeah.
All right.
It also should be noted that for a lot of these, this is accounted for multiple releases. So, because E.T.'s had, since it came out, multiple theatrical releases. So
That's true.
That does help it. Number 3.
Star Wars. A New Hope.
Yeah, I'm up.
Star Wars.
Number 3 is The Sound of Music.
Oh,
Of course.
Mm.
All right.
Dang it.
Is the first Star Wars movie 2 and then yeah. Star Wars is 2.
I'm up.
I'm gonna say Avatar.
It's
Mhm.
not Avatar.
Number 2 is A New Hope.
Oh no!
Yes,
dang
I
it.
win.
Wait, no,
I
I
win.
have one more.
I think, well.
We
oh,
all
God.
know what
Dang it.
what's
I-
number 1.
I know Ezra knows what number 1 is, but do you know what number 1
It's
is?
Gone with the
It's
Wind.
Gone with
Yeah,
the
Gone
Wind.
with the
Dang
Wind is
it,
number
dude.
1.
Well, that's-
Yes.
I'm surprised
2 out of 3.
Avatar didn't make it
Hit
domestic.
him with that 1-2 punch.
Yeah. Avatar, when looking at the domestic adjusted for inflation, appears at number 15.
Oh.
Other famous
I mean,
ones that
Star
appear
Wars
on the list.
is one of the first blockbusters.
Yeah, most of the ones that appear on the top 10 that just barely make it. Snow White came in at number 10, Exorcist at number 9, Doctor Zhivago at number 8, Jaws at number 7, and 10 Commandments at number 6. When looking domestically adjusted. Yeah, so that was a fun little game. We had.
That was a fun little game.
Mini game.
Wanted to make sure I had forgotten that I looked up the box office a couple days ago, and I was like, you know what? That'd be a fun mini game. Have the guys
Just spring it on us right there.
spring it on you in the middle of the show. Hey, what do you
was
think?
fun. Yeah, with that, I think that wraps up everything.
Yeah.
Ahmad, do you have anything else you want to do?
Nothing else to say.
So yeah, Sawyer, can you handle our social media?
Yeah. So on Twitter, we are still at Cate-Cast because of our old handle we couldn't get rid of. But if you search at the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast, you'll still probably find us. We are at the Lab Rats Podcast on Instagram, and you can find our show on whatever you're watching now, in addition to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music. What else am I forgetting? Stitcher and Podbean. Yes.
Yep, that's it.
All right, that should be all the platforms. If there's any other platforms you would like us to be on, let us know. We're trying to get on as many platforms as possible to make it accessible to everybody.
Yep.
And if there's any specific things you'd like us to cover, let us know, because we do have some blind spots. We're not always,
Yeah.
I'd say, the best when it comes to rom-coms or musicals, but we try to get a well-rounded balance of topics. But if there's, say, hey, they haven't talked about, I don't know, Bollywood musicals, we're not really great in that category, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
I would
Do a deep dive.
Do a
some
deep dive.
documentary research.
Oh yeah, documentaries is another thing we don't talk a whole lot
Yeah,
about. We
yeah.
can do that.
Yeah, I would be down to doc. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually good. That's a good.
That
point.
sounds like a fun time.
Yeah.
Although I don't know. I'm thinking about it now, and I don't know how it would go. About it.
Everybody watches a documentary and bring it as their topic for the
We
week.
could just talk about different types of documentaries also.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll think about it.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it'll work out.
Let us know what you want. Spread it to your friends. And yeah.
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 Thanks for giving us 2 hours of your time
Yeah.
for the majority
Little under
of
2 minutes.
this semester. I know it was kind of a rough spot for a good 2 weeks there, but we made it through.
Gotta make it through finals week now.
Yeah.
Yep, and then we'll have the summer. We'll have a lot more time. We're gonna try to make the channel a little more active. Just figuring out ways to do that now.
Plus, you got the obvious Comic-Con and the E3 specials coming up in a few months.
Those are gonna be a lot of fun. Probably the week. So next week we're gonna take a break. This coming week, the following week, we'll do our official E3 predictions.
Mhm.
And
More than just the brief mentions me and Ezra did last week.
the wish lists
Yeah.
that we made. We're gonna have some actual E3 predictions. We'll be a little closer, so some more stuff will be confirmed. I think.
Deconfirmed. I like that. It'll be deconfirmed.
Well, yeah, they could, like, there have been plenty of instances where somebody has like actually went out and deconfirmed something. for
This will
E3.
not be coming to E3. Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.